Number 5. I'm going to tell you this strange episode from my childhood. I was about 9 or 10 years old. I used to go to school on my own, just walking. It wasn't really that far, it was just about a 10-minute walk. Every day I went the same way. It was the shortest, but it was kinda isolated. I was walking alone as always when I noticed a police car coming on my left. There was a middle-aged man, obviously a policeman, who slowed down and started talking to me. He said, "Hey kid, are you going to school?" I said yes. He kept driving near me and asked if I wanted to get in the car so he could take me to school faster. I said no and that my mom always told me not to talk with strangers. He said, "I'm not a stranger, I'm a policeman and you can trust me." I thanked him and told him there was no problem because school wasn't that far, but he still insisted. So he sped up a little bit, went in front of me and opened the car door. "Come on, it'll be fun to take a ride in a police car. It's almost every child's dream." That's when I said, "No, please leave me alone." He kept the car door open and just stared at me. I then started to walk faster and went down a little street and started running to the point that I didn't even see the car behind me. I was shocked because I was obviously pretty young. The policeman had this weird smile and it was extremely disturbing, almost like it was unnatural. Since that day, I never took that road again, and my mom started coming with me for the first few mornings. I never realized what he wanted or if he really had good intentions. But he may have just been taking advantage of the fact that he was a policeman so kids would trust him easily. But thankfully, I never had to discover what he actually planned on doing with me. Number 4. I was the creep in this situation just a while back. Me and several friends all decided to go camping, which was an obvious excuse to just get drunk for several days. I had to work during the day, so everything was set up by the time I got there, around 9 p.m. So I started drinking to catch up with everybody else. After a few hours, we started to run out of wood for the fire and had a competition to see who could get the most. I headed off away from the group and found some leftover logs from someone else's campsite. Back at the site, there was nobody there yet, so I started splitting the wood with an axe and having a good time. But all of a sudden, a young couple came out of a tent with the most horrified expression. It must have been terrifying to see some random stranger laughing and swinging an axe around at their campsite. So I apologized, quickly ran back to my own campsite, and we got back to drinking. Number 3. Despite living out in the middle of nowhere on a 400-acre farm, we still have some problems with people coming into our house, moving stuff around and occasionally taking something like trash bags or food. It started in early 16. We'd be laying in bed and hear stuff being moved around in the middle of the night. But by the time we could get up to see who it was, no one was there. Damage was done to our old front door after someone tried to get in, and we even came home multiple times to find the front door just hanging open. This behavior isn't constant though, it actually only happens once or twice every couple months. Last month, I heard a car door shut in the middle of the night, and when we checked, the lights were on inside. Our motion detector lights were also tripped at all hours of the night. Well, I saw this person for the first time last night. It was only a glimpse and they were wearing very dark clothes. By the time my husband got out there, they were gone again. I don't know where they go, but they always run. Sometimes we can even hear them. They always run down the left side of our house towards the field. Beyond that, there's a group of woods, so we lose track of them. So today I had my music playing over a speaker in the kitchen while I jumped in the shower. Not 4 to 6 minutes after I got in, I heard my music shut off suddenly. I had a really bad feeling, but I also felt like I should just stay in the locked bathroom, and I'm glad I did. My music had just been paused, my phone moved completely, and the front door was hanging open with mud all over the floor. I've always had an issue with anxiety, and I'm kind of a paranoid person anyway, so it's super hard for me to attempt to stay calm in this type of a situation. But my husband was going to be home soon, and he kept texting me to make sure everything was okay. As soon as he arrived, obviously no one was there. So, creepy guy who's been stalking my house and doesn't like music, let's not meet again. Number 2. To set the scene here, I was about 9 or 10 years old, living in a town with a crime rate of nearly 0. My neighborhood was a long, slightly curvy street and I lived at the very end. It was a warm summer evening and I was riding my bike up and down the street with a friend. I wasn't allowed to go farther than the end of the street and back. I made it almost to the end and was waiting for my friend to catch up when a black SUV pulled up adjacent from the street and stopped. He rolled down his tinted window and said to me, "Hey, I'm wondering if you've seen my puppy around here." I shook my head no, and he said, "Oh, you haven't? He's black and white with brown on his head," while gesturing the approximate size of the puppy. I still shook my head no. I felt uneasy because I learned of stranger danger, but I didn't know of this classic kidnapping technique at the time. He continued, "Are you sure that you haven't seen him? And would you mind getting in to help me look for him?" I responded, "No, I don't want to." He said, "Come on, I really need your help," and looked around quickly. He then reached down and opened his door. This happened right as the owner of the home I was sitting in front of came out with a bag of trash. As soon as the man in the SUV saw the man in the house, he rolled up his window and drove away quickly. I never saw him again after that. So to the dark-haired man wearing a white t-shirt driving a black SUV, let's not meet. Number 1. I was driving home and I realized a truck had been following me for miles. Just as a precaution, I made an abrupt last-second U-turn, but this man did too. It was there that I realized he was indeed following me. While on the phone with 911, I made sharp turns and ran red lights to try to lose him, but he wouldn't stop, literally almost hitting my car a couple times as he sped up trying to catch up to me. The 911 operator instructed me to go to a grocery store and wait for the police. So I parked right in front of the store's entrance and waited. He decided to park his car at a distance and waited for me to get out. All of a sudden, I heard a hard knock at my window. I freaked out, but it turned out to just be the grocery store manager letting me know that 911 had just informed him of the situation. He asked if I wanted to go inside and that he would protect me until the cops arrived. I honestly feared the worst and told him no. I was shaking, but I thought this maniac might have a gun and he could shoot me and everyone in there. Cops arrived and luckily cornered him in the back of the parking structure. They arrested him, and soon after I found out that he got a third DUI from a police report. I didn't know who he was, but apparently he just lived a couple miles away from me. Unfortunately, 2 months later, I received a letter in the mail to notify me that I'd been subpoenaed. I called the DMV and they notified me that not only is the man free again, but that my information, including my address, were on the police report that was provided to him. I now live in fear that he may come any day and try to hurt me. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep updated with our videos.